When you look at old war photos, you sometimes see something odd. A soldier with an umbrella, another with a sword, maybe even a set of bagpipes. We tend to dismiss these as quaint British quirks, but what if I told you they were part of a hidden strategy? That this eccentricity wasn't just tolerated, but often encouraged and even weaponized by the British state. Let's start with the most famous example. Bill Millen, the personal piper to Lord Lovat on D-Day. As his comrades stormed Sword Beach, Millen waded ashore wearing a kilt, playing his bagpipes while bullets zipped past him. Later, as they marched to relieve troops at Pegasus Bridge, his pipes continued to skirl even as men fell around him. Why wasn't he shot? Captured German snipers later confessed they thought he must be insane, and therefore an officer worth capturing alive. To us, it's a heroic, slightly mad story. But for military psychologists, it's clear. Those bagpipes were a psychological weapon. They were a moving morale beacon, a defiant sound that screamed, "If the piper is still playing, we are still in this fight." Then there's Mad Jack Churchill. No relation to Winston, but just as memorable. He went into World War II armed with a longbow and a Scottish broadsword. He genuinely led charges with his sword drawn and captured enemy soldiers with a medieval weapon in a mechanized war. His superiors could have stopped him. They didn't, because his calculated lunacy inspired his own men and deeply unsettled the enemy. It fed into a powerful myth. The British are unpredictable. You never know what they'll do next. This image of the quirky amateur who muddles through and wins was a powerful counter-narrative to enemies who projected an image of perfect mechanical efficiency. Think of Nazi parades or Soviet salutes all about order and iron will. British propaganda, in contrast, celebrated the Tommy making tea in a ruined farmhouse or the pilot with a pipe clenched in his teeth. This wasn't just theater. It amplified a real coping mechanism. The state didn't invent the eccentricity. It just turned up the volume. This tradition has deep roots in the British Empire. For centuries, British forces, often outnumbered and far from home, used strange rituals to assert their identity. Marching in wool uniforms in the desert heat, insisting on formal dinners with proper cutlery, playing cricket between battles, these weren't just about comfort. They were signals, both to themselves and to others, that we are who we are, no matter where we are. It was a form of psychological armor. By the First World War, this attitude had morphed into a tool for survival. In the hell of the trenches, British soldiers created their own satirical newspapers, like the Wipers Times, filled with savage jokes about generals, mud, and death. If you can publish a fake ad for trench foot ointment or a spoof weather forecast promising more shellfire, you're not just mocking your misery, you're mastering it. Officialdom knew that a man who can laugh at his situation is less likely to break. Fast forward to World War II, and this culture was personified by Churchill himself, with his cigars, V-sign, and oversized siren suits. He was the walking embodiment of eccentric British resilience. And this spirit lives on, though in subtler ways. During the Falklands War, Royal Marines yomped across frozen terrain with absurdly heavy loads, and paras marched into battle singing bawdy songs. In Iraq and Afghanistan, British troops were famous for brewing tea in the dust and naming their armored vehicles with a dark, affectionate humor. Of course, modern warfare has less room for flamboyant oddities. A commander leading an assault with a sword today would face a headquarters full of lawyers. But the core spirit remains. If you ask a soldier from another country why they're brave, they might talk about honor or loyalty. Well, someone had to do it, didn't they? We're really talking about a unique cultural response to fear. The British use understatement, self-mockery, and bizarre rituals as tools to stop the terror from swallowing them whole. The props might be bagpipes, teacups, or a dry sense of humor, but underneath the eccentric surface, the courage and the scars are just as real as anyone else's. Thanks for watching. If you found this interesting, consider liking the video and subscribing for more stories from the strange corners of history.